Hello and welcome to another episode of the Weighing Room. And this week it's just myself and Paul. James is away, so we'll be running through the best races from Haydock and Sandown with, of course, the Coral Eclipse. Slightly less races to look at than usual. I think just the 7 for us today, Paul, but 7 really good races. It's a great weekend's racing, isn't it?
Yeah, seven crackers. So we have no excuses, just the seven to look forward to. We've plenty of time to study. Um, I know that the field sizes in the feature race we were talking off air, it is small, but looking back through the years, the field size in the Eclipse was never overly big anyway. I know the sizes aren't the healthiest, maybe the field sizes at the moment, but certainly the Eclipse wasn't. Even in healthier times, the Eclipse never really drew a huge field. But yeah, hopefully, Frankie, we can find a winner too.
Yeah, I remember going last year to the Eclipse for the first time. Sundown's a good course and it always brings a great crowd. It always brings quite a knowledgeable crowd, I find. I'm not sure why, but you know me, I'm down on the ground chatting to punters. And Sandown always seems to be one of the places where everyone is really into their racing and knows their stuff, as opposed to some other tracks that people are there more for the jolly. So it is always an enjoyable day. I'm struggling with off the back of Ascot. I don't know about you, how to judge horses that I fancied going into Ascot and maybe didn't perform. Am I sticking with them, or am I holding the Ascot form to its level? Because there's quite a few running, isn't there, in some of these handicaps that did go to Ascot and have raced against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a couple then I think there was one of the earlier races that I was looking at, and there was a horse I went against because of Ascot. I thought the horse had quite a hard race in Ascot, but then later on, and as we go through the podcast, you'll see I've actually gone for horses that have competed at Ascot, so I've kind of almost contradicted myself. But yeah, we'll see how we go on. Look, it's like footballers and what have you. It's like athletes, runners, and that. Some horses will handle it better than others, and we'll be soon the wiser Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, we'll find out. Well, let's get stuck in. We're gonna do it slightly differently today, just because James is not here, and you don't want to be waiting for me flicking through Racing Post trying to find the right race. So we're gonna go through the Sandown card and then through the Haydock card. So we'll start with the 150 at Sandown. It's going to be fast. It's over 5 furlongs in the middle of the track where they race at Sandown. Anaf tops the market. Marshman 6 to 1 or joint favourite. Sorry, the pair of them. Equilateral. Get ahead sevens, equality eights, and bigger the rest. Who are we looking at, Paul?
I've got two old reliables here, an equilateral, more so equilateral than Tiger Flow. Tiger Flow, we tipped up. I think we all could have had a full house
You
here
and
with
you
the
and
one
James
last time
did. I
out.
went against you, but you and James did, yeah, when he won last week.
Okay, I don't know I don't know if the 5 furlongs will suit Tiger Flow. Equilateral, I've kind of had enough of him. Like this, he's I don't think he'll win, and he's not big enough in the bet. And he's best price 13 to 2. He's not big enough for me to get involved each way. And I could see him running across. If he wins, look, fair play to him. But
Yeah.
I have to, yeah, I've gone elsewhere, Frankie. I've gone with Diligent Harry, Kieran Schumacher teaming up here with Clive Cox. Drawn and stall 6, best price 14 to 1. I thought Diligent Harry shaped as though the return to 5 furlongs would suit. Given his run at Salisbury last time out over 6 furlongs, where he made most, was collared close home, was only beaten 3 quarters of a length by the winner. He's only had the 2 starts over 5 furlongs, but I think, given his last run, I think the 5 here will suit. And I think best price 14 to 1, I'd be happy to get involved. Whether it's winner each way, I'll let you decide, but I'd be happy to get involved with Diligent Harry. I think he'll get a good run for your money.
There you are, fair price, certainly, in the first four. Paul, I'm going to go with Tiber Flow. You and James put him up when he won, and I wasn't on. Am I making the mistake? Like you said, the big question is that will he perform at 5? Because he has been really good. He's won a listed race, won a group race, been consistent in some really good sprints, and won well enough last time out. But it is that drop back to 5. I think he's going to need a target to aim at and someone maybe to kind of try and put the race to bed almost too early and a horse that he can get after because he had to be tough to win and really won in the final furlong, didn't he, last time out? So you'd hope that the race doesn't get away from him a bit and he can have, like I said, a target almost to aim at on the front and pick up, because the question is the 5. But for these sprinters, I like to catch them when they're hot, when they are running well, and he did run well last time out. I think if he can just back that up quickly and put in another good performance. You're getting an each way price anyway. So we're taking on the Favs in the first. We've got some nice prices, 8 to 1 and 14 to 1. Hopefully they're in the mixer. The second will be the 225, and they're racing over the mile trip. It's Class 2 handicap. Perotto tops the market at 13 to 2. So again, it's a wide open field. There's plenty of runners. There's some prices to go at. Who are you siding with, Paul?
I've gone with Perotto, who was best priced at 15 to 2 yesterday evening. First time Hud goes on, he was a beaten Fav in the Royal Hunt Cup when last seen. He ran well for a long way, and prior to that, I thought he ran a cracker in the Victoria Cup. Like I said, he was best priced 15 to 2 yesterday evening. He's now best priced at 13 to 2, and Tom Marquand takes them out. And incidentally, Tom Marquand was on one for William Haggis had won. Almafier was entered in the race. Tom was originally jocked up on that one, so I noticed as soon as decks were made, Tom was on Perotto. So I'm going to stick with the Fab here.
And there's a couple like this in here. I think trying to look through my selections now. We'll come to it anyway. And the horses that have been well backed to run well at Ascot and haven't. If you're brave enough to just say maybe it didn't go their way that day, and you believe in the market support and what the form looked like going into Ascot, then you can sometimes pick up a good price afterwards. So Perotto for you. I'm going to go with Uzo, another who ran in the Royal Hunt Cup, was 6th. At around 33 to 1, but I don't think it was any fluke. He was running well over in Dubai before that, and Safi did say on the day that she thought he'd outrun his odds. So I don't think that was a fluke performance. He's been really consistent over the mile trip. I'm doing this quite a lot through the card on Saturday, but I'm kind of playing for places. He hasn't won a race in a long time, but he is in the mixer quite frequently. Down to a mark of 94 gives him an even better chance. Like I said, you do have to scroll back a while to find the last time this horse won a race, but he is pretty consistent and should be, I hope, in the mix at a mile, and 8 to 1. There's a chance that he could go and win. So Perotto for yourself, Paul, and Uzo for me. We're hoping that for some Royal Hunt Cup form, or I am anyway. The next race at Sandown is the 3 o'clock. Again, over the mile trip for the fillies at Class 1, and Breege is your market leader at 5 to 2. Stenton Glider, Magical Sunset, Bridestones. Again, it's we're not hitting a short price favourite yet. It's competitive enough. I quite like the favourite in this, Paul. What about yourself?
I quite like one of the lesser exposed, Stenton Glider, for Hugo Palmer and Andrea Azzini, who has been nibbled at in the market. Was 7 to 1, top price 7 to 1 when I was having a look at this on Wednesday evening. Now best price at 9 to 2. Has had just the 4 runs. Was a good second, but found life tough in the 1,000 guineas at Newmarket earlier on in the season. Was a good second in the Fred Darley at Newbury, which is a Group 3 contest, dropping back to listed company here, and ran a cracker when finishing second in the German 1,000 guineas at Dusseldorf when last seen. I just think best price 9 to 2 could be short enough. I thought maybe 7 to 1 represented a bit of value here for Stenton Glider, but hopefully the price is relevant after this one. So I'm going to stick with Hugo Palmer's charge here, the Stenton Glider, drawn in stall 10.
He's picked up a bit, hasn't he, as well, Hugo Palmer? He had a slightly slow start to the season, but I seem I don't actually know what his strike rate is, but I feel like he's been firing in a lot more winners recently than at the start of the season. It was a little slow for him.
I suppose quite enough, but like say with the filly herself, like she ran well. She's in form. She was a good second in Germany at the beginning of June, so it's not as if she's ran a stinker of a race. The horse is in form without winning. I wouldn't be too worried about that. The filly seems in good form here. I'd be happy to get involved with Stenton Glider.
They did fancy her as well when she went over to Germany. They were quite keen on her to go and win that race. She did run a decent race as well into second. I think 5 to 1 or something that day. So Stenton Glider for you, as I said, I quite like the favourite. She ran in some really good races as a 2-year-old, and then was tried in the Irish 1000 where she was 7 of 10. So not anything too impressive, but I like the fact that they thought she was good enough to go and try her hand there. She was 50 to 1, and it was obviously a very hot race that Tahira won. But they thought that she was good enough to deserve her shot in the Irish 1000, and she kind of backed that up. Not that she was ever going to win it, but she backed deserving that spot up when being second in the Sandringham at the Royal meeting off of near the top of the weights. So I think this is kind of the right level. I think she's one of those horses that's, could win a couple of handicaps on the way up. Never going to be a group performer, but a listed race, I think this could be right for her. So two at the top of the market. We were doing this last week as well, weren't we? Paul, splitting the top two. We don't seem to agree.
Be interesting.
But yeah, hopefully one of them goes in. We'll leave the Coral Eclipse. We'll move over to Haydock and we'll do the first three there, or the three that we're going to look at there, and then we'll come back and finish with the Coral Eclipse, with it being the big race of the weekend. So we're switching over to Haydock, and we are starting with the 205, another handicap over 1 mile 6. Big field, or big enough field. Rogue Seizure market leader at 4-1. Lordship Pledge of Allegiance at 6's Banderas at 8-1, and then 10's bigger the rest. Where are we looking, Paul?
I've gone with Pledge of Allegiance, who showed little in his first 4 starts, 3 of which were over a mile, 1 over a mile and 2. Then came back this season and came back after a layoff. 2 wins from 3 starts this year to date. Was a beaten favourite on seasonal reappearance. Was a beaten odds-on favourite. That was on the all-weather at Linkfield at the beginning of May. Won his last 2, first of which ran out an easy winner under Luke Morris at Redcar back on the 30th of May. And then was always kind of doing enough at Doncaster under Dara Keenan. That was back on the 30th of June. So Mark's horses are in good form. He had a good third in the all-weather at one that was coming off the back of a break at Kempton on Wednesday evening. So horses are in good form, and I'd be happy to get involved with Pledge of Allegiance at 6-1.
Pledge of Allegiance and Sir Mark Prescott for Paul. Banderas for Michael Bell for me, who's raced the last twice on soft ground, and I'm hoping that was just because that's what the conditions were, as opposed to that's what they think the horse wants, because it's good to soft, or the going's good actually, sorry, at Haydock currently, and the sun's shining where I am. Not that I'm up north, but I don't think it's going to get too much rain before now and Saturday, so probably will be, well, it will be better ground than this horse has been racing on, but as I said, I'm hoping that's just coincidence and how conditions fell. It takes a bit of time to wind up this horse, and that's what I'm hoping that 1 mile 6 can bring out a little bit more from him, because you watch and he just needs to really get going. And I think when he won at Chester, Ryan Moore just gave it an absolute peach and only just did enough. And there was a point almost where he just started to nudge the horse out, and then I just had to give it one little reminder to say, come on, no, we're not finished yet. But I think that he did do it easily enough, even though he only won by, I think, a short head. I just think it was very good from Ryan. So I think there's a bit more progress to come from this horse in the handicaps. And I think the extra 2 furlongs, there might just be another gear there. So Banderas for myself. The next race we'll look at is a Group 2. Over 1.5 miles for the fillies and mares. It's a 240 at Haydock. Mimic You tops the market at 6-4. Are you sticking with her, Paul? Or are you going to try to take her on? You are,
no,
yeah. You're keen
going
on
to
her.
keep this pretty simple. Yeah, we were pretty keen on her the last time. She was second. She was just chinned at York back on the 27th of May. That was in a Group 3, I think. That was over 1 mile and 6. Kieran O'Neill was on board, just got chinned. That wasn't a Group 3. At York back on the 27th of May. I think Connections have found a good opportunity here. She's top price 6-4, short enough, but the next in the bet, and I think it's around about 92. And I think Mimic You will take the beating here.
Yeah, again, like I said, I don't know what swayed me. I'm playing lots of each way darts this weekend where I'm hoping for places, because I could quite easily back the favourite here. I just thought she was maybe slightly short. I'm going to go for Aristia, who on bare form was 7 of 7 at York, but she got bumped to the start and lost 2 of her front shoes. So I'm quite happy to disregard that run. And if you go previously, she won a Group 1 over in France. And then prior to that was second in a Group 1 at Goodwood behind Nashwa, who's a very, very good horse. So the form's there for this horse, in my opinion, to go and win this race. She obviously, it's not a positive that she didn't have a good race last time out, especially after a break. So I think that's the worry, and that's probably why you're getting a better price, because she had 270 days off, then got bumped around a bit and lost 2 shoes, didn't run a race So she does have to be coming here, you know, and deal with that, because that's a negative from last time. But I think if she can run to, that Group 1 form that she's got, she certainly deserves to be in the mix. Again, the question is the trip. She's got to step up 2 furlongs. She is tough, but that could maybe be the difference in the closing stages. So if she's traveling well and she can battle for an extra 2, Aristia gets my vote. 3:15 will be the last one that we look at Haydock, and another big handicap, a full field of 17. Laia Cal tops the market at 5-1 for Danny Tudhope and Mr. Haggis. Are we looking at the favourite? I'm guessing you're not, Paul. You've got plenty to choose from.
No, I'm not, Frankie. I've gone with Chimesius Fox, who
Yes.
was a beaten favourite at Royal Ascot when last seen, but the time before that, I was really taken by his victory at Newmarket under Oisin Murphy. I had the plum draw in, it was drawn right along the inside rail, but the official going was good. I don't think it was good. It was raining at the time. They were cutting the top off. I think it rode on probably on a little slower than good. Chimisius Fox was always, I don't think was keen as in like just mad keen. I think was enthusiastically keen. Loves his race and raced pretty enthusiastically throughout and done really well to find in the dip. Ran out a really impressive winner. I think if Chimisius Fox comes back to that form, I think he's going to take the beating here. Best price 11-1 at the minute. That victory at Newmarket, incidentally, that was under Oisin Murphy. Harry Davis claims 3 off 9 stone 10. Drawn and stall number 3. And I think Chimisius Fox I think he'll be in the mix here. I'd be pretty sweet on Chimisius Fox.
Yeah, so am I. I agree, and I mentioned, didn't I, when you said you put it up Perotto, similar sort of case in the fact that this horse has gone off favourite twice at Kempton, and then at that handicap you're talking about at Newmarket, and then went off favourite at the Royal Meeting as well. So from a kind of punting perspective and what the market's telling us and the way that this horse has been winning handicaps en route to Ascot suggests that there was always more to come. And he just didn't run a race at Ascot, but that does give you a bit of a price here. Add to the fact that he's gone down £1 and Harry takes off 3, so effectively £4 lower. He's just got to really find that Newmarket form, hasn't he? So I'm the same, Paul. This is, as far as each way bets go, I think it's a real solid one.
Yeah, and I think as well what I like from going into Haydock on Saturday, Oisin looked after Chimisius Fox once his chance of winning had gone. He was looked after, so that's always a good sign. If you're not going to get, I know when I was riding, if you weren't going to win or finish in the prize money, trainers the majority of trainers would leave it up to you just to mind. There's always another day, particularly at the beginning or midway through a season.
Yeah.
If there was no prize money on offer, if you were out of the place and you were just to look after the horses. So I think hopefully that will stand to the horse here.
Particularly in horses, for horses like this that are going to do most of their racing in these sorts of handicaps as well. Because but as I said, he's been dropped £1. Harry claims 3, so that may not have happened if he'd finished a bit further up the field at Ascot.
No, exactly, and as well as that, Oisin's experienced enough as well. If he was to be harder on Chimisius Fox, there's no saying that he would have finished any closer. So it's essentially you're flogging the horse, maybe not flogging, but you're giving him a harder time than necessary just to finish where he ended up anyway. So it's nicer to get looked after.
There we are. Each way bet for myself and Paul. And we're quite sweet on Chimisius Fox. Could be the best each way bet of the weekend. So there's one more to look at, and it is the one that everybody will be watching on the weekend. It's the Corridor Eclipse at 3:40 from Sandown. 10 furlongs to run. We've got Paddington and Emily Upjohn, which in the market looks a match bet. Paddington 11-10, Emily Upjohn 5-4, and then we do have to buy Honor in here at 11s and West Wind Blows at 25s. It's a small field, but I am excited to see Paddington and Emily Upjohn clash, and I think that's really what everyone's trying to weigh up, Paul, is that pair.
Yeah, tactically, it's going to be fascinating with just the 4 runners and no pacemakers in here. So who's going to make the run and who sits where? Does William follow Ryan or does Ryan follow William? I'd imagine Paddington will do his own thing I think.
Yeah, I think so. It's quite straightforward, isn't
And
it?
he is, and I think he's a horse that's improving. I think with the allowance, with the 3-year-old allowance, I think he takes the beating here. He's just improving. I tipped him up 2 starts back. I went against him the last day with when he
Callaghan.
ran against Chaldine.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I thought he ran out. He hit the line very strong at the Curragh on his 2 starts prior to that. And yeah, I think he takes the beating here. He's right about 5-4 yesterday afternoon. Now best priced 11-10. And yeah, I think he'll get the better of Emily Upjohn.
I agree. I think we spoke about this before. For what, well, it's a different ball game now, but I guess from where he came from, winning a handicap and how he's been campaigned, he maybe hadn't caught the eye, or been talked about, as much as some other horses that were targeted at the classics, was he? But as you said, he's just getting better and better, and it still doesn't really look like we've seen the ceiling on him. I think what I found, another big plus for this horse was listening to Annalisa talk about Chaldean being beaten by him. And she was under the impression that, well, we all know Chaldean's a very good horse. He won the Guineas, and she thinks he ran his race, and they were just beaten by a really, really, really good horse. I think that form from Ascot is very strong. I think he's still getting better. As you said, he hits the line strong. He's straightforward, which you need in a small field, because I think if he can just go and do his own thing, um, it probably makes life harder for everyone else who has to think about what they're going to do. Ryan can just run his race, can't he? Ride his race.
Yeah, I think so. He mightn't necessarily want to make the running, but he could end up there. Just depends what Dubai Honor and West Wind Blows does. I'd imagine William Buick will drop Emily Upjohn out. So it shouldn't, with just the 4 runners, that shouldn't have a huge effect. If you had 10 runners and Emily Upjohn wanted to be held up, that would be more of a concern. But I think Ryan will sit, whoever's making it, I'd imagine Ryan will sit on the girth and try and just push them on a bit, make them go a little bit faster than they want to go, just to suit the race himself. So yeah, pretty straightforward. And for Paddington is a pretty straightforward ride. And yeah, I think you have too much for the filly here.
I suppose as well, from a punting perspective, that they're not there's not much between them prices, and we know that the fillies will be more likely to put in a bad performance every now and then, whereas Paddington looks super consistent as well.
Yeah, exactly. And like we said, he looks like a horse improving. Like he's hit the line strong on his last 3 starts. And as you mentioned, like Chaldine had no excuses, was there falling
No.
out, and the winner put a little over 3 lengths between himself and the second. So yeah, he's getting better, and I think William will have his job cut out here to keep tabs on Ryan.
There we are, Paddington for the pair of us, and the dream team that is Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore. It's nap time, Paul. We've talked 7 races. We've got some prices in there. You got some shorties. There's a couple you were quite sweet on. Who takes the nap vote?
The nap, the nap is Mimikyu. Short enough. She's 64. I think Mimikyu. I can't see her getting beat. I think she wins. And also, I know we're fairly sweet on Timisius Fox as well, and also Diligent Harry. I think will let run 14-1. I'd be happy to get a good each way bet, or make of it what you will if you want to play each way or win. But I think Diligent Harry will certainly outrun his odds of 14-1 in that 150 at Sandown. But the nap this weekend is Mimikyu.
There we are, Mimikyu for Paul, who I wouldn't be against. Like I said, I was trying to find a bit of value, but I think she will take all the beating. And then the one that the pair of us were sweet on as an each way nap, Timisius Fox in the 3:15 at Haydock. I'm sure he's got to be in the places at 11s. Be more than happy to back him each way with Harry Davis on board. So that's all for another week, and we've rattled through 7 races with just the pair of us. Hopefully there's some winners in there. Hopefully wherever you're watching from, you enjoy your racing, and best of luck with all your selections. We'll be back next week for more Saturday's racing.